Good morning, students. We were reading the chapter Footprints Without Feet. Half of the chapter I had explained in the first part of the video. Now let's move to the remaining part. So far we have read in the story that a scientist named Griffin invents some medicine, some drugs to make him invisible. He uses that drug and becomes invisible. Then in the story we read that he does some criminal activities. He enters a big departmental store. He steals and put on new clothes, eats meal, takes coffee, and then takes a night's sleep there. In the morning, when the storekeepers came to escape from them, he had to remove his clothes, and again he was wandering without clothes in the winter time in London. After that, he enters a theatrical company. From there again he finds bandage for his face, dark glasses, and a false nose, and robbing the shopkeeper there, he runs away. Now what happens after that? Let's read it. Eager to get away from a crowded London, he took a train to the village of Epping. Now he does not want to stay anymore there in the crowdy area, in the crowd of London, so he goes to the railway station. From there he takes a train which goes to the village named Epping, and reaching there he booked 2 rooms at a local inn. In a local hotel he booked 2 rooms. Now in that hotel, the arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was in any case an unusual event. That village area, countryside, some visitor is coming, staying in an inn or hotel, it was very unusual in the winter season, and a stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. Means all people started talking about it. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, the owner of that inn where he booked the 2 rooms, his wife, Mrs. Hall, made every effort to be friendly, but Griffin had no desire to talk. He did not want to talk, so he told her, my reason for coming to Epping is a desire for solitude, loneliness. I want to live alone. That's why I have come here. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. Besides, an accident had affected my face. So he gave explanation why he had covered all his face because of some accident, and he should not be disturbed there, that he want. Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist. Eccentric means some kind of moody, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse her strange habits and irritable temper. He already paid in advance, so Mrs. Hall did not pay much attention. Even his habits were strange, his temper was also bad, but she did not pay attention. But the stolen money did not last long. Whatever money he had sown, it ran away. The money finished, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. He had no more money to pay. He had to admit. He had to tell them. And however, he pretended that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. He told a lie that soon he would be getting a check and he will pay then. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. After some time only, something strange happened. Very early in the morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. In a nearby house, a clergyman means a priest in the church, and his wife They were awakened because they heard some noises in their study room. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. Silently, when they came down, they heard that somebody or some money is being taken from the clergyman's desk. They heard the noise. Without making any noise and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. Taking a poker means a long iron rod with which the fire is poked, that poker, an iron rod. Quietly he came and quickly he opened the door and said, "Surrender." Then, to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. He saw nobody is there, and he and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. There was not a sign of anybody. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. Extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. The whole day he was saying something very extraordinary happened. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Means even some more extraordinary thing happened with the furniture of Mrs. Hall the same morning during the same time. What happened? The landlord and his wife were up very early. They woke up early that day and were surprised to see that scientist's door was wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, but today they found it is open, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. On another days, that scientist who lives there, he doesn't like anybody to come there. He becomes angry when anybody enters his room. So the opportunity seemed too good to be missed. They thought that now they can look inside. What is he doing? How is he living? So they peeped around the door. They looked quietly and saw nobody and decided to investigate. When they found nobody is there, so they decided to check it. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. Means he had woken up earlier. The stranger still more strange thing was the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about all the room. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff noise close to her ear. Somebody was sniffing just close to her ear. She heard it. And a moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up, jumped up, and dashed itself into her face. Straight away came into her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her. Straight away, that chair came at her. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Means that chair pushed both of them out of the room, and with a sudden jerk it shut the door and locked it. Now Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits. She thought, ghosts have come here, spirits have come here. She was sure that this could be only done by the spirits. So the stranger had somehow caused them to enter into her furniture. She thought it is the work of spirits, and that stranger had done something, that those spirits have entered into her furniture. My poor mother used to sit in that chair. She moaned, she cried. To think it should rise up against me now, that chair is hitting me, rising against me. Once my mother used to sit on that chair. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. Neighbor said ki it is all witchcraft, means the black magic. But witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, everybody when heard about that burglary had happened, money was stolen from the clergyman from the priest's home, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Everybody suspected that this strange scientist had a hand in it. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not before long that he had no money. Soon earlier he had admitted that he had no more money, but now suddenly he produced some cash, so that gave even more suspicion. The village constable was secretly sent for. So secretly they called for the village constable, policeman. But instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom, who was present there, who was coming out of the room when they saw. So Mrs. Hall went to him. I want to know what you have been doing to my chairs upstairs. What you have done with my chairs, she demanded. I want to know, and I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. The scientist was always quick tempered. Now he became furious, became very angry. You don't understand who or what I am, he shouted. Very well, I will show you. Suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even the nose. He threw all these things, and it took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. They saw this man doesn't have a head now. Mr. Jeffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. But Jeffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. He had to do his duty. If a magistrate warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person had to be arrested, with or without his head. He had to complete his duty. Then there followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible. As he threw off one garment after another, he was taking off his clothes one by one, and the policeman was trying to get hold of him. Finally, a shot flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Finally, he disappeared totally, and some people tried to help him but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. Some people tried to help, but they all received the blows, the punches from the scientist, but they could not see. In the end, Jeffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist, but he was not able. He was hit by him and he fell unconscious. And then there were nervous, excited cries of hold him, but this was easier said than done. Easy to say, but not easy to do, to hold him. So Griffin had shaken himself free. He had escaped, and no one knew where to lay hands on him, how to catch him. Now nobody knew. He became totally invisible. Now this was the story we have read, and we have been doing we will be doing the question answers next day. I'll be sending you the question answers. Okay, you can read for your all own pleasure the complete book also. I'll be sending you the complete book. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you. Bye bye.